Okay, welcome back, folks. Professor Almeida here with a walkthrough on Packet Tracer 13.2.7. You're going to learn how to troubleshoot connectivity issues between devices as well as verify connectivity using ping and traceroute. This is an essential basic skill to have whenever you're dealing with networks. Also, you're going to verify configuration settings with Cisco equipment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here with Packet Tracer 13.2.7. I have this open in Notepad and you'll see why in a moment. All right, so let's launch Packet Tracer. Make sure that you take a moment to log in if you're on a public system. And here is 13.2.7. Now, if you need to hit that pause button, you can do that, and I'll be right here waiting for you. As always, with these Packet Tracer activities, make sure that you put your name in your user profile. I'm going to use Professor Almeida. Click OK, and then yes to reset the activity. Now, what we see here are 3 interconnected routers, and then with routers 1 and 3, there are actually 3 interfaces, right? We have 2 gigabit Ethernet based networks, one IPv4, the other IPv6, and then that third serial interface is to connect to router 2. You'll also see this addressing table is provided. This is going to come in handy. Okay, let's start with the 2 IPv4 networks. We need to see if we are able to connect between the 2 networks here with PC1 and PC3, but we're going to have to gather some info first, and we're going to start with PC1. Specifically, we need to know the IP address of PC1, and we also need to take a moment and check the subnet mask and default gateway. Why is this important? Because sometimes your network problems could be as simple as a bad configuration on a PC. Okay, and you're going to actually see that in this exercise. Okay, so before I go into the command prompt, I want to show you this real quick. Cisco decided that it was too easy to go into IP configuration, so they actually locked it. You're going to go into the command prompt and run ipconfig/all. This is actually what you do on a Windows system. And we're going to need to collect some information here. So the IP address of PC1, and you can see that I've recorded it here, is 10.10.1.98. And then for the subnet mask and default gateway, we're actually going to consult the table here. Okay, real quick. Here's gigabit Ethernet 0/1. All right, and the IP address assigned to that interface is 10.10.1.97. There's the default gateway, which again, that should be the IP address to your router. And then the subnet mask matches up. So for PC1, looks like we're doing good here. Let's look at PC3 real quick. Again, ipconfig/all. And the IP address for PC3 is 10.10.1.18. Okay, so let's make sure we get that information. And then again, the subnet mask and default gateway, if you actually check the table here for router 3, you'll see that for G0/1, it matches up. Okay, so far so good. Let's see if we can actually connect to PC3 from PC1. And to do that, we're going to run ping. And this is a great way to just test basic connectivity, right? So ping 10.10.1.18. Okay, that's the IP address to PC3 there. And we're not able to connect to PC3. As a matter of fact, the reply is coming from router 1. So we need to investigate a little further and run what's called traceroute. Okay, now with traceroute, it allows us to see all of the routers along the way to the destination. Okay, each router is what's called a hop. And so if there's an issue with a router, maybe it's just down or there's a bad configuration, you'll see where the tracing stops, right? So for this one, there should be 4 hops because of that serial interface between router 1 and router 2, and then from router 2 to router 3. So there's 4 hops, and you're going to see what this actually looks like when there is an issue with a router here. All right. So let's do traceroute 10.10. Whoops, what am I doing? I need to be in my PC here. All right, traceroute 10.10.1.18. Okay, there's that first hop. That's to router 1. But right away, now we see there's an issue here. We can't we can't connect to router 2. Okay, now if you're thinking ahead, you're probably investigating this connection right here, this serial connection between router 1 and router 2. But hold that thought for a moment, because the packet tracer activity asks for a couple of more things before we get to router 2. As a matter of fact, we're going to go into router 1 and run 2 commands in privilege exec mode: show IP interface brief and show IP route. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get into router 1 here. We're going to log into iOS. Okay, default password is Cisco. Now, to run these particular commands, we actually have to be in privilege exec mode, which means typing in enable, and then the password is class. All right, so the first command is show IP interface brief. And what this does, it lists all the interfaces and whether they are up or not. Okay. Now remember, we're looking at an IPv4 network, so we should only see 2 here. Okay. Gigabit Ethernet 0/1, which has an IP address assignment of 10.10.1.97, and then serial 0/0/1 with an IP address assignment of 10.10.1.6. Now, we have to consult the addressing table, because this is what the settings are supposed to be, and you'll see that they are indeed correct. Now, the second command is show IP route, and this will give us all of the networks connected here. Okay, and again, you can see that everything checks out. Okay, the codes, L for local, C for connected. All right, so router 1 looks good. Let's take a look at router 2. Okay, again, let's log into iOS, enable, and then show IP interface brief. So for those of you who are thinking that there was a problem with this serial interface here, well, here's the moment of truth. All right, so we have the list of interfaces. Let's consult the addressing table. Do you see an issue here with router 2? Okay, here's that serial interface to router 1. What do you notice? Hey, wait a minute, the IP addresses don't match. So looks like we found our issue, folks. So we need to fix it, all right? And to do that, we go into config terminal. Notice that I'm using shorthand here. Okay, I can type this in, S0/0/0 instead of spelling out serial. Let's go ahead and fix that IP address. Okay, the correct address is 10.10.1.5, and then the subnet mask is 255.255.255.252. No shut, or no shutdown. If you notice over here, we're now at 50% completion. So it looks like we fixed the problem, but we need to make sure of that. All right, let's go back to PC1 and see if we can talk to PC3 now. Moment of truth. There it is. And then, just for the heck of it, I'm going to run traceroute. You should see the 4 hops. There you go. All right, so you have your evidence of a successful ping, and if you'd like, if you really want to convince yourself, you could try pinging to PC1 from PC3. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. 10.10.1.98. There you go. Everything is peachy. All right, so that is the first half. Now, let's explore our IPv6 network. Okay, and we need to record some information here. All right, we need to get our information for PC2 and PC4. But this time, we're going to use IPv6 config/all. Okay, and because I'm feeling a little lazy, I'm going to copy and paste the IP addresses over to Notepad here. All right, default gateway is FE80:1. Okay, and you can also check the address table if you'd like. All right, if you really want to do that. Hey, look at that, FE80:1. Okay, hold that thought for a moment, folks. PC4, IPv6 config/all. Okay, and then let me go ahead and copy and paste this IPv4 address. Okay, copy, and then go on a notepad and paste. As a matter of fact, as you're going to see, you really didn't have to copy this, but just for sake of completion, let me go ahead and see if I can ping to PC4 here. Ping, and then paste the address to PC4, and you'll see that it's not going to go through. Okay, obviously it's not going to work. So, did you find the issue? Okay, let's go back to PC4 here. All right, there's that IP config, or excuse me, IPv6 config. Did you notice something? Okay, here's router 3 down here. Did you notice something here? So the default gateway should be FE80:3, but over here I see FE80:2. And here's another clue, right? If I go over here to PC2, okay, notice I can't go into IP configuration for PC2. But if I come over here to PC4, hey, look at this. I have access. And here's the issue, right? Bad configuration. And if you want to convince yourself, take a look. Now you have 100% completion, and you know what? Just for the heck of it, let's do that ping one more time, and you should see that it works. All right, so there you have it, folks. That is Packet Tracer 13.27 in all of its infinite glory. Good luck on this activity. And if you have questions, you know where to find me, and you can also ask and talk amongst yourselves. Good luck, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.